Could I encourage you to take a seat, please? Thank you. Good evening and welcome. If I can just sort of encourage you, do grab a drink and then head on down and find yourself somewhere comfortable to sit. That'd be great. Of course, at these recitals, I used to have to give lots of sort of housekeeping notices about when you could and couldn't wear a mask and about keeping all the doors open and various different things. It's much simpler now, which is very happy. But we have this lovely open building, and I hope you all feel very relaxed and calm and are ready to have a wonderful evening. Sadly, it remains the case that many of our recitals and concerts are getting slightly tweaked from time to time, which means that you rely on musicians to step in at the last minute and sort of bravely put together a program, rehearse between things that they have on. I've just created a program in 4 minutes, which is the quickest program creation ever, but of course that is nothing compared to finding time to rehearse and all those things. So Will and Rhiannon have only had a couple of days' notice, but we are very lucky because Will Cole is currently working at, I think, the Royal Academy of Music and has been staying with us. So it's quite useful to have a pianist staying in the house sometimes. And tonight, that means that we can go ahead with a concert despite everything. So thank you again for coming. Thank you for supporting our series. And would you please welcome Rhiannon and Will.
Speak at the beginning, but I've obviously changed my mind. So there we go. There's my music. Fantastic. That was a terrifying moment. I thought it was going to be here. And it wasn't, and now the stand's broken. It's fantastic. Rehearsed so well. So hello. Thank you so much. We've popped some things together. Our knowledge of song is on a Venn diagram, completely unrelated. So it's been an exciting morning, really, because we were both working yesterday, so we could only rehearse today. So, yeah, we're going to start off with Parochial, which we both know, thank goodness, from Mozart's opera, The Marriage of Figaro. It took a moment, didn't it? Gosh, can you tell there's been a global pandemic? There's been very little singing going on for quite a long time, so wish us luck. What they don't train you for at music college is using a microphone. It's a relatively new thing. I'm going to push this slightly to the side and get slightly quicker at turning it on and off while I find my music on my iPad. There we go. So the next set of songs are the Britain cabaret songs, and they were written in about 1937. All the poetry is Auden. So you'll notice the second song when I start singing it, if you're a, Four Weddings in a Funeral fan. Is it Simon Callow that says that one? Yeah, Stop All the Clocks. That one. But they were actually written on a boat, most of them from the United Kingdom to America. And yes, originally they were not written for Peter Pears, as opposed to everything else. It's a shame Brutus isn't a composer, because then I'd have lots more songs written, especially for me. Very sad. But yes, they're not written for Peter Pears, but they were written for Heidel something. I'm sure she was wonderful. God rest her soul. And she said immediately they're going to be a great hit. So the first, in true cabaret style, is a slightly comical look at love of this woman who is getting on for 35, and that couldn't be further from who I am, because I'm only going to be 34 this year. Yes, it's a really sort of comical look at what love is and who it might be. Straight after that, there's Funeral Blues, Stop All the Clocks. Then we have a song about Johnny, and it's a man that just won't commit. Really, and the woman's experience of that. And she says, I swear I'll be faithful to you until the end of time. But, well, spoiler alert, he's just not that into you, love. And then finally, there's Calypso. And does anybody know how to whistle? Is anyone good at whistling? Excellent. Elizabeth, I'm going to point at you at that bit, because I can't. I sort of do this. You know, again, things that they didn't teach us at the Royal Academy, where you're apparently working at the moment. Will thought he was working for Music Theatre Wales currently, but, you know, and the Aldborough Festival. Congratulations. Oh, Britain, look at that. Fantastic. Look at all these links. Gorgeous. Okay, I'm going to get on with it.
But when I asked the man
Hello. Hello. This is, hope you're enjoying your drinks. So sorry. Oh, I don't know why I'm saying sorry for stopping everyone's conversation. You have come to watch a recital. Otherwise, you would have just gone to the pub. We could still do that if everyone is just, I mean, I think everyone kind of needed a drink after that set of songs. I realised, it was talking to Will, that my entire song, and at music college, where I spent 9 years, of course, you spend most of your time learning song repertoire. Most of your classes are geared towards song, and that's how you learn your languages, generally through art song. But it probably, as a professional musician, makes up about 1% of your income, which does beg the question why we spend 98% of our time studying it, which is quite an interesting one. But anyway, we won't dwell on that too long, Royal Academy of Music. So, but one of the things I discovered is that I like really weird songs. And Will and I sort of, went through, and I must have a repertoire of about sort of 200-300 songs. And I'm just going, I just don't really have anything, I think I know 3 Schumann songs. And that's a sort of, great artistry, but arguably fewer notes. So thank you, Will. And I also realise not quite as easy on the ear or on the emotions sometimes. But, different people feel differently about different things. Anyway, thanks for my free therapy. So next I'm going to sing. Yeah, there we go. So next we're going to perform. I'm going to sing. Will's going to stay on keys. Thank goodness it's that way around because I'm really bad at the piano. Si mi chiamano Mimi, which is Mimi's first aria from La Bohème. And she's sort of, sidled into, okay, so I'm going to take issue with this. Mimi is always portrayed as a character who is sort of, oh, look, oh, yeah, she's got consumption, she's about to die, it's all really sad. And she's very weak and feeble, but I just don't think that's true. She's a grisette, so really she's a professional girlfriend, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and I think she's spied Rodolfo. From her sort of, building. And I think she's planned the whole thing. And I think it's a sort of a slightly false humility in order to get his attention, because he's one of these lovely bohemians that actually has a very nice rich daddy somewhere. He's just pretending to be poor for a while because, fun, Paris, 1890s, that sort of thing. So, although it's actually sort of 1830s, isn't it, the book? Anyway, I digress. So Mimi has come in, the candle has gone out, they're in the dark, they've fallen in love, he's declared his undying love to her from her. That was the first 3 minutes of this scene. And then this is her talking about her own life. But I think she also gets really swept away in the actual poetry of making these little flowers in her attic. And the fact that because, she has got the rubbish room, which is right at the top of the house, just like us, darling. We're right at the top of the house, aren't we? Super. Which is actually the nice room. But anyway, she's at this, but actually she really is a very positive person, which begs the question of why he doesn't, attempt to make it work in Act 3. But again, thanks for Mimi's therapy. So this is Si mi chiamano Mimi, and I'm going to stop talking. This is why no one should give singers microphones. Thanks. I promise to keep this one really brief. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So much about my curtsy. I do my La Scala bow. That's this way, look to the gallery, cover the boobs, and then curtsy. I'm joking. So we've got a set of Strauss songs that are totally unrelated to one another, but are lovely. So we're going to start off with Zueignung. I love German. Zueignung, Richard Strauss, by the way. So no waltzes, sorry. But yes, the first one, Zueignung, is about a toast and really about looking at the words. Let me figure out what it's about. It's about gratefulness. So, habe Dank, I have thanks, I give thanks. Then, we're not going to do that one, which is next in my book. We're going to do Die Nacht, which is about the night, very beautiful, and things that may happen in the night, under the trees. Then there's Hat gesagt, which is a funny little song. You were quite confused by it at first, in the last sort of 2 hours. And then I explained what it was, and then I went and looked it up again and then figured out what it's actually about. So it's actually a girl saying, my father has asked me to rock the cradle while he goes out, probably on the lash. And he said if I do that, he'll give me 3 boiled eggs. So that is, if Hannah Hargreaves, who's looking after our children this evening, is listening, we'll be paying her in boiled eggs from now on. But she says, but if he boils me 3, he'll actually eat 2 of them himself, and I'm not going to babysit for 1 boiled egg. It's a classic song. And then the second verse, she says, oh, actually, my mother has asked me to tell on the maids. She's obviously a well-to-do lady. She wants me to dob in the maids. And she said that she'll give me 3 roast chickens. Delicious. I mean, that's more than a girl can eat, really, in an evening, isn't it? Or anyone. And she says, but if she roasts me 3, she'll eat 2. And why would I do that for 1 roast chicken? But if this evening I go and see my lover, he'll give me 3 kisses. And he won't stop at that. Sorry to look at you, Will. That's very inappropriate. Anyway, too much. And then the final one is Cecily, which is the best song ever written, and it doesn't even matter what it's about because it's just so glorious. But really, it's a love song too. And just do you know how you make me feel like a natural woman? That sort of thing. Hello. Last time I promised, and we absolutely do not have an encore. So, lucky you. The last one, I just want to introduce, it's from, what it's called, Giuditta. And she is an army officer's wife who has been stationed, I think, somewhere in Egypt. And she's a bit bored, classic. Very boring being an army officer's wife, I can attest to that. So she decides to moonlight as an exotic dancer. It's a very relatable story. So she sings this song, "On My Lips, Every Kiss is Like Wine." But interestingly, the first line is, "Why ever should it be that men at first make love to me?" And I actually learned this song with my singing teacher when I was 12, which is incredibly inappropriate. But it's really good fun now. And Jonathan, do you waltz? Great, fantastic, thank you.
you're very much for coming. I'll have words with you, Jonathan, afterwards. Actually, Rhiannon and I don't very often dance together because she leads, and it's very uncomfortable. Like, we just, yeah. Anyway, there we go. But thank you for coming. I hope you had a wonderful evening. And one final round of applause for our wonderful performers who stood up at the last moment. Thank you.